You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
We're back, Chris.
Good morning, Jeff.
Woohoo! How do you know it's morning? It might be evening.
Well, it's morning when these podcasts get dropped.
That's right.
They
Well,
get
it's
dropped
10:56 in the morning for us.
Yeah, see, you ruined it. You let everybody know behind the scenes.
Well, somebody might be listening to it
In the evening?
In the evening.
Well, we have one guy who works out at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, but like half of our people listen it after like 4 in the afternoon when they come home from work.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah. So about half before, there's this huge spike at like 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning when it comes out.
Yeah.
And then there's a big spike in the evening. I think partly when people are driving home from work.
Good evening.
Yeah. Hey, or morning.
Yes.
Or middle of the day.
He's Jeff. I'm Chris. We're the Bible Guys, and we have a great segment today. Jesus feeds the 4,000. Yeah.
Oh, he already did this one.
No, he fed the 5,000.
Well, that was better.
Yes, this is the lesser miracle. This is not as.
Everybody's like, yeah, we already
It's
saw
not
this
as good.
one. Yeah. No, it's still pretty impressive.
I would say so.
Yeah. Okay.
So this segment that we have for today is called This or That.
Oh, these
It
are
is,
neat.
Which would you rather do?
Okay.
So you've not read these, right?
No, I have not.
I have not read them
Should I
either.
not look at them?
I've not looked at them.
Okay. You do it then. You
No,
read
no,
them,
no, no.
and I will.
I was going to say let's take turns.
Every other one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So here's the first one.
Okay.
Jeff, would you rather be able to eat anything you want and have it be perfect nutrition, or only sleep 1 hour a day and be fully rested? Ooh.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely
love sleeping, so it's all about the eating.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect nutrition.
Yeah, perfect nutrition. Yeah, that's. There's no question, and especially since we
Do
can
you
eat
sleep well?
whatever we want.
Are you a good sleeper?
The older I get, the worse
You bring it up and he yawns.
the worse it gets.
Yeah,
the
for
worse
real?
it gets. Yep.
Oh, wow. Not for me. I put my head on the pillow, 5 minutes, I'm out. I sleep most of the night.
Wow.
Wake up refreshed almost every morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
Just like-
gift.
I know.
That is a gift from God.
Well, the Bible says that God gives rest
Oh,
to those he
okay.
loves.
Don't Jesus juke me.
I'm not Jesus juking you. I'm just quoting scripture. If you don't like
Okay.
the Bible on the Bible Guys app or Bible Guys program, I don't know why. And he gives rest to those he loves. That's all it says.
Okay. Here we go. Number 2. Why don't you read that?
Would you rather have the hiccups for the rest of your life or
No.
feel like you have to sneeze and not be able to for the rest of your life?
Oh, those are two horrible
Those are
questions.
terrible.
I would probably say sneeze.
The sneeze, I think I would choose that one too.
Yeah,
Feel
but
like
that's
me-
horrific. Your whole life, for the rest of your life. That would make somebody want to not live long.
The hiccups, both of those mess up our careers. We wouldn't be able to speak anymore.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
For God so loved the world.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Desiree.
Okay. So number 3. Would you rather team up with Spider-Man or Iron Man? No,
Oh, I already know your
question.
answer.
Spider-Man, of course.
I don't know. Iron Man's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Spider-Man lives in a really crappy apartment.
Okay, Spider-Man is...
So Iron Man is like a gajillionaire and has cool toys.
Okay, so is your answer Iron Man?
Well, so who took Spider-Man in under his wing? Who took Peter Parker in under his wing in the
movies?
movie? I'm saying that's all that matters to me.
Oh, okay. So
I'm saying
The canon-
Iron Man gave him a shot.
the canon of Spider-Man
Yes.
is found in the original books starting in the 1950s from Stan Lee. And so that is what all the
I
true
want you to feel something for me.
believers...
You know how much you hate it when I quote a Bible verse to you?
What?
Remember
I
just a
don't
minute
hate
ago? Yeah, you told me I was Jesus
it.
juking you a minute ago.
Okay, no. I didn't hate the Bible verse. I hated you in that moment. The hate was you. So,
Yeah. So I knew you were going to say Spider-Man from the get-go, but
Yes,
hey,
of course.
hanging out, being a billionaire with cool toys,
yeah.
pretty great.
So you didn't say it yet though. It's Iron Man.
Iron Man for me.
Okay,
Oh, 199%.
okay, but not 200.
No, not 200.
So let's
carried away.
move on. By the way, I collected Spider-Man. I've got thousands of Spider-Man comic books in my attic.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 4.
Would you rather be in the Olympics for snowboarding or diving?
Gee whiz.
Snowboarding.
I would have to say snowboarding.
Nobody wants to see me wearing a Speedo.
There you go. That answer alone.
Belly flopping. If that was an event.
You have sold me. What did Jerry Maguire say? You had me at hello. Okay, that's. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Number 5. Would you rather be the bull rider or the person who has to distract the bull?
Oh, the bull rider.
No question.
Bull rider, man.
The guy who distracts the bull is known as a clown rodeo or a rodeo clown.
Yeah.
Right? And he's the guy who gets no credit. He's really, 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 important. Now I got
You got those hiccups. They're
Yeah.
there. Mm-hmm.
So he's really
You know how to get
important.
rid of hiccups? You have to think, I am not a fish.
I am not a fish. You're right. They're gone.
There you go.
So the point is that, by the way, that can't be true.
It's true.
That's not true.
Every time.
No,
Yep.
it's not true.
It is.
So anyway, now you threw me off.
Now every time you have the hiccups, you're going to start thinking about that. Though you'll think of me every time. Okay. Anyway, I'm in your head.
Anyway, I've always wanted to ride a bull, by the way.
Yeah?
Although I hear they mess up their back and their spines.
They do. Oh, yeah. It's crazy. So I rode a bull a couple times.
Did you really? But
Yeah.
not a bucking bull.
Yeah.
Stop.
So I used to. So we were dumb. I was so dumb. So it wasn't sanctioned at all. But I worked on a farm, and we had a bunch of horses, and we had some Clydesdales on the farm, and then we had 250 world champion or national champion Black Angus cows. And so we had one of them, a Regal, was one of the bulls. And so our Clydesdales, they had a fawn or a foal, right? Is that what they call it? A colt. And when he got big enough, he was like full size horse size, but not Clydesdale size yet. And his name was Brian Baru. We'd call Brian over. We'd give him a little bit of salt. When he's there, we'd jump on his back. And Clydesdales are really, gangly. They're not very coordinated. And so that was fun. But then we all started talking about Regal, the bull. And Black Angus bulls don't have big horns, so they're just kind of flat-headed. And so we kept talking about him. We got him in the chute, and we got on him, and he didn't like it, but he stood there for a minute. So we tried that 2 or 3 times, and then finally they opened the gate one time, and yeah, I lasted literally, the gate opened and I fell. So,
So he did buck you.
oh yeah, off, and then I thought, okay, I'm gonna get, because you're laying down looking at this 2,000-pound animal coming.
Oh, if he stepped on you, you'd be
Oh,
dead.
been dead, yeah. No
Yeah.
helmets. We didn't have any ropes. We had nothing, and the guys all had to get out and shoo him back into
that
the
quite
thing.
literally could have been one of the dumbest things you've ever done.
Oh, I've done plenty of dumb things in my life.
But that is like certain death if he just decides to stomp on you.
Yeah. We tried it a couple times.
Wow.
Yeah, we were dumb. I was like 20 years old.
That's crazy. And yet you're here.
Here I am. It only stepped on my head. It didn't hurt. You ever wonder why I say the dumb things I say?
The things that get embedded in you.
There you go.
Hey, listen, if you're watching on YouTube, would you do us a favor? Would you subscribe to it? Would you definitely put a thumbs up? Or would you share it with somebody? Because it'll really help us with the metrics. It helps us in every way. And also, it exposes our podcast to those who knows, might want to listen to it. So we appreciate that very much.
Well, we are in Matthew chapter 15, verse 32.
Yes.
And we made a joke today that this miracle is not as big of a deal as other miracles Jesus did.
Yeah.
But it's a magnificent.
But I'm guessing healing 4,000 men besides women and children.
Feeding them?
Yes. What did I say?
You said healing.
Oh, okay. Well, healing healing their bellies with food.
Yeah. Healing them from hunger.
But anyway, all that to say, there was probably like 12 to 15,000 people, maybe 10,000, whatever it is. But we're talking about, they were counting households.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's 4,000 households.
Right.
Yep.
So here's what it says in Matthew chapter 15. It says, Then Jesus called his disciples and told them, I feel sorry for these people. They've been here with me for 3 days. Remember, yesterday we talked about how Jesus had been healing everybody, the lame, the deaf, all this stuff. He spits on his fingers, he touches his guys' ears, all that kind of stuff, right? So he says, they've been with me for 3 days and they have nothing left to eat. I don't want to send them away hungry or they'll faint along the way. The disciples replied, Where would we get enough food here in the wilderness for such a huge crowd? Jesus asked, How much bread do you have? They replied, We have 7 loaves and a few small fish. Jesus told all the people to sit down on the ground, and then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, thanked God for them, and broke them into pieces. He gave them to the disciples who distributed the food to the crowd. They all ate as much as they wanted. Afterward, the disciples picked up 7 large baskets of leftover food. There were 4,000 men who were fed that day, in addition to all the women and children. Then Jesus sent the people home, and he got into a boat and crossed over to the region of Magadan. In Mark chapter 8, verse 1, it says, "About this time, another large crowd had gathered, and the people ran out of food again. Jesus called his disciples and told them, 'I feel sorry for these people. They've been here with me for 3 days, and they have nothing left to eat. If I send them home hungry, they'll faint along the way, for some of them have come a long distance.' His disciples replied, 'How are we supposed to find enough food to feed them out here in the wilderness?' And Jesus asked them, 'How much bread do you have?' 7 loaves, they replied. So Jesus told all the people to sit down on the ground, and then he took the 7 loaves, thanked God for them, and broke them into pieces. He gave them to his disciples, who distributed the bread to the crowd. A few small fish were found, too, so Jesus also blessed these, told the disciples to distribute them. They ate as much as they wanted, and afterward the disciples picked up 7 large baskets of leftover food. There were about 4,000 people in the crowd that day. Jesus sent them home after they had eaten. Immediately after this, he got into a boat with his disciples and crossed over to the region of Dalmanutha. Dalmanutha and Magadan are the same area.
Yeah. So by the way, we've been reading in this whole series multiple gospels, because both, or all 4, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are all gospels, meaning good news, and they all tell the story of Jesus, and they're the accounts of Jesus while on earth, as given by 4 different authors. And so the harmony of the gospels is a term that people have used over the years, where they take all 4 gospels and they piece them together and say, some events are in 2 gospels, some are in 3, some are in 4. And come to find out, this whole week so far has just been
Matthew and Mark.
Yeah. And so once again, only Matthew and only Mark record this instance.
Yeah.
Where they have 7 loaves and it's 4,000 people.
Right.
So it's very similar to the 5,000. Mm-hmm. And then it was 2 loaves, right?
Right.
Back then, and a few fishes. So anyway, the thing that stands out to me more than anything else is, supposedly, according to the harmony of the Gospels, this takes place after the feeding of the 5,000. And yet they still ask the question, how are we supposed to find enough food in the wilderness?
Right. Yeah,
Right?
yeah. The first time it was 5 loaves, 2 fish.
Yeah, what did I say? 2 loaves?
2 loaves, yeah. You just said it backwards there.
Yeah.
And I agreed with you, but yeah, it just
5
dawned on me.
loaves.
But yeah, that's the thing that stands out to me too, is Jesus had already done this before.
Right. So it could be that maybe, remember sometimes when he uses the word disciples, they're the 12 apostles who were also disciples, but then everybody who followed him were disciples.
Yeah.
And so it could be that he's not referring to the 12. So it could be that he's saying his disciples replied, or maybe perhaps they were different disciples. Because again, in the other passage, it didn't say
there were the 12 apostles, but then there were lots of disciples.
Yeah, but I'm also leaving room for the fact that maybe when his disciples asked him the first time, even if it was the 12, maybe a few of them weren't there.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. So all that to say, it's not given the names of the people who asked this question. So all I'm saying is perhaps
there's a maybe.
It's referring to different people, because if it's the same people, shame on them.
Well, if it's the same people, I think it's just common to humanity. People forget.
Yeah.
People forget. We remember the bad things and we forget the good things.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's a sermon right there.
Right. And we forget. Faith gets built on remembering the fact that God showed up last time. So he's going to show up again this time too. You can trust him in that. Trust gets built over time. Trust in your marriage gets built over time, right? You give trust on the front end, then we wind up breaking trust, and then we have to build trust, right? And trust takes time. And
not everybody breaks trust, but you're saying that usually
every human disappoints every other human at some point.
Okay. To some degree.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not referring to affairs, though. You're just saying in general.
No. I was thinking much more innocently than that. But
okay. Yeah.
But we disappoint. We forget something. We don't follow through on our word, whatever, right? So every human disappoints another human. And so at the beginning, trust is just given. Then trust is usually broken in some way. And then trust has to be built in order for that relationship to keep going. And so one of the things that you do to build trust, I think, is it's important to remember the fact that you can be trusted and that you can trust that person because they showed up last time. They did what they said they would do. And, I had a professor who said he used this story specifically to talk about the idea. It's one of the reasons why he began keeping a journal. He said, because I remember all the bad things in my life and I forget so many of the good things.
That's awesome.
And so he said, I have a journal that's about the good things that happen in my life, the good things people do in my life and the answers to prayer that God gives me. And then every year when he gets to the end, he goes back and rereads through that and all the blessings from that year, from people and from God, answers to prayer, all those things. And he said he found like there was a measurable increase, like a multiplier of increase in his faith after he began doing that before. When he first was a young pastor.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be true.
Yeah, he said when he was first a young pastor, it was struggles with his board, people that were mad at him, because I don't know if people heard, but not everybody's happy with every pastor in America, right?
What?
Yeah, I know. And sometimes people project their own problems.
Shocking.
They project their own problems on their pastors. So he said, man, I just was carrying the weight of leadership, and the fear of making a mistake was so heavy my first 3 or 4 years. And then I began to keep a journal of all the blessings that people did to me and for me and my family and all of the answers to prayer that God gave. And he said, next thing you know, just confidence that God was going to carry us to the next level. He said just became more and more and more evident in his life. And I thought that was a brilliant idea.
I wonder if this could be the moment for somebody to start doing that.
Yeah.
So like, especially if you're a journal type person, where you know how there's sort of like people that just aren't journal people.
Yeah.
And then there's people who have a tendency to say, yeah, I love that. That's sort of the way I'm wired.
Yeah.
And it's the way that I grow and all these different types of things. And I wonder if this is an idea right now that could be birthed in somebody, and they'll say, you know what, I'm going to start doing that right now. And it doesn't have to be January 1. It could be starting right now in September of 2023 to next September of 2023.
Yeah.
And you can say, all right, I'm going to write down every single blessing and explain it. And you're not going to write anything bad, but it's just a book of good.
Right.
Ooh,
Just answers to prayer.
That'd be powerful.
Yeah.
Then go back and read your book of good. That'd be really good.
There's a... So apparently, most people in America are not optimists. So there's a majority that are...
And you're referring to studies in general?
Yeah. So apparently most people are not optimists. But there is a skill set for building optimism, and one of those is rehearsing regularly the good in your life, right?
It's looking into the mirror and saying, you look marvelous.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Well, so one of the habits and I've heard people talk about this too. My mom and dad were good at this. We sat together at dinner every night. And my mom was a homemaker, and so we had dinner every night together at the table. And that was often one of the things that came up in our family conversations. Okay, hey, everybody, what's the best thing that happened today? Or what's the best thing that happened this week? What is the thing you're thankful for this week? What prayer did God answer this week? And we all would keep just going around the table, just talking about the good things that happened in our
You
life.
had that growing up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And then we had family devotions every night.
You and I had very different childhoods, my friend.
So 4 or 5, it was really bad up until a certain point, and then my life transformed significantly. My parents became Christians. We started, we'd have family devotions at night. And so if we didn't have that kind of conversation around the table at dinner, and I don't know that it was structured like, okay, boys and girls, and they pull out cards and start asking. It wasn't it. It was mostly the good things that were happening in our life, the best thing. Tell me the best thing that happened in your life today. What are you thankful for today?
Wow.
But then at family devotions at nighttime, if we hadn't done it in the daytime, I would say 3-4 days a week, it would come up where we were rehearsing the good things. And then the family stories we told were either funny family stories, because every family has legends.
Right.
And so the legends we would tell would be funny legends or when God showed up and protected us kind of legends. Those were the stories we told all the time.
That's awesome. Now our family, my family, like my kids, they grew up with, devotions and things like that. And certainly we go around the dinner table and at Thanksgiving and we do the whole ABC blessing thing and all that. So we have our own sort of things that we do, but to make it a practice of focusing on the positive, just on a daily routine kind of a thing, there's really a lot of power in that. So actually, we had small group last night over my house. So right now, I'm pretty excited about this small group that we're doing. I think we had like 17 total, and we're doing a young adults small group between the ages of 18 and 29. And so anyway, last night, we just happened to be in the book of James in this series, and we're talking about the power of words. And there was the idea of exactly what we're talking about, which is positivity versus negativity. And, and all this, by the way, is stemmed from the disciples saying, where are we going to get this food? Right. So I guess
he'd already done this before, but they forgot.
Yeah, a little bit of a rabbit trail, I guess, but I guess relatable. But anyway, we were talking about just the idea. So anyway, one of the questions was, do you know anybody in your life that's super positive? And if so, let's talk about that person. And it was so fun. Mm-hmm. And we went around the room and we were like, okay, let me tell you about this guy. Let me tell you about this guy in my life who just is nothing but speaks life into me or positivity.
Right.
By the time you get around the room, I thought to myself, why am I not this person for somebody?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure I'm positive for some people.
Right.
And I'm sure but why am I not the person in somebody's life of like total positivity? Because I want to be.
But so in my personal life,
yes,
I'm a raging optimist.
Yes.
My life's going to turn out fine. God's going to give me the answer for the next thing. God's going to provide for me. But in my personality type, one of my strengths is maximizer, and maximizer wants to make everything better, make it all better. So I see every problem. Right. So there's a little bit of a conflict there in the way that I walk through my life as a boss, going, fix that, fix that, fix that, fix that. You know what you should have done? You know what you should have done? You know what we should have done?
This is new news to me. I would never have guessed it.
Right? But two things. I don't need a lot of compliments, right? So I have a lot of self-assurance, and I have total confidence that God's going to provide it. Everything's going to be fine. For me, I don't mean it the way a lot of people mean it. I come in thinking, everything's going to be great. Everybody knows it's going to be great. Just make this better. It's going to be even better. But a lot of times people think, hey, change this font means if you don't, you're on your way to hell, right? And so they're hearing it in a different way. And so Bonnie actually manages my calendar, and multiple times a week she puts in goodwill tour in the office for like 30 minutes, and I'm just supposed to walk around and say good things to people because I'm always telling people, fix this, fix that, right? It seems like the only thing I ever see is the negative.
Right.
And I experience and feel all the positive, but I forget to communicate it. And so having a regular reminder.
By the way, we're similar in that way.
Yeah,
we're similar in that way.
So having a regular reminder to go say good things. Yeah. If you think of a good thing, say it. If you think of a good thing, do it. And having a regular reminder to be positive. Mm. So I feel positive, and I feel like God's going to just work it all out. My faith is through the roof that He's in charge and that things are going to turn out fine. But sometimes I forget the power of my words in other people's lives, that it sounds like I'm tearing them down when I really intend to help them be better. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I can tear them down, so then I have to have a reminder. So those three things: keep a journal, keep a log of the blessings of God, rehearse them with your family, and then have a reminder to go and tell others. And I think you'll pivot back to centering on the fact that God always has the answers. Yeah. And I just think they forgot that in this passage.
Yeah. Well, so they of course questioned Jesus. Let's not skip over the fact that Jesus actually says, I feel sorry for these people. Mm-hmm. They've been with me. And if I send them away, they're going to faint. Mm-hmm. So their problems have become His problem.
Yeah. He took it on Himself. Yep.
He took it completely on Himself. So He's like, this is something that I can do to help them. And even though that they're there, with their own, by their own free will, they've stayed longer than their food supplies have allowed them to, right?
Yeah.
And they're so excited to be there because of Jesus.
Well, they've just been taken from Him for 3 days. He's been healing everybody for 3 days.
Right.
That's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then remember last time, this kind of goes against a little bit. He was frustrated because they all left only wanting full bellies. Remember? Their bellies were full, and the next day they were angry at Him. Remember? Do you remember that? Yeah, they went from being happy with Him to being angry with Him when He wouldn't do any more of those kind of miracles, right? And he got frustrated with them, challenged the disciples, are you guys going to leave me too? Right? And then, so you can imagine how hard it was for Him to decide to do this miracle. But His compassion overrode maybe his concerns for how are these people going to take this miracle.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, it's amazing how, just the logistics of what happens when it says they ate as much as they wanted, and they passed out the bread, and they collect 4,000, no, excuse me.
7.
They collect, what does it say?
7 large baskets.
7 large baskets. I'm looking at this number right here.
Oh, yeah.
So 7 large baskets of bread, and all because He gave thanks for the bread.
Yep.
Right? And then all of a sudden it multiplies.
And then He gets in a boat and leaves. Got to get away from these people.
That's great. Well, that's a good place to end. Our time's about up. So we will see you tomorrow, hopefully, on the Bible Guys.